All right. In today's video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things I wish I would have known before, because I always thought you had to be perfect and be ready before I could get started. I never realized that you have to get started first and then get better as you go along. So I always was afraid to go outside of my comfort zone, and I was just hoping that the day would come that I'd feel comfortable. And when I was finally told that the only way you're going to get comfortable is to get outside your comfort zone, it finally made sense to me that you're not going to feel comfortable before you start doing something. You have the experience of doing it is what makes you a little bit more comfortable a little at a time. So each time I was always waiting for maybe after the next book I read, or the next course I took, or the next thing, which it kind of did work out that way because it did take, it kind of all snapped in here and there as I did take each course, as I did read each book, and I did watch people's videos of how they did it. So, in a way, I guess it does go that way, but I always thought that I would be comfortable before I started. And I definitely am just trying to go along and get comfortable as I go. So I'm still not totally comfortable, but I'm a little bit better than I was before. But I wouldn't have got to this point unless I actually just started to do it. So that's definitely like one of the main things is just get started. So, and Dean Graziosi had a saying where you have to take the leap of the faith or whatever you want to call it. And he always likes to say take the leap and grow your wings on the way down. So just get started and then build upon it as you go and get better. So let's see. So again, because when I was younger, I was deathly afraid of public speaking. Like I would have never done this years ago. So there was a class when I was in college that I actually dropped because we had to do a project at the end. And the bad part is that's how afraid I was of speaking in public. And it wasn't even in front of the whole class. We were in groups of four, and I didn't even want to speak in front of the other three people. And the sad part is one of those people was one of my friends. And he would always say that I dropped the class because I didn't want to speak in front of the group, and I always denied it. But now if he's out there and watches the video, which I doubt he will, but I did drop the class because I was afraid of speaking in public. So that's kind of where I used to always say that I would take public speaking as the last class that I would ever take in college. Like it would be the last class that I needed to take for my bachelor's degree. So, and it kind of that's kind of how meditation helped me. Meditation helped me relax, helped me focus, helped me become more comfortable with who I was as a person. It made me not care as much about what other people thought of me. So it totally helped me relax, get comfortable, and feel just good enough to finally do it. And I was still nervous, just like I kind of am now, but I don't know if that nervousness will ever go away. I guess I'll find out as I continue to do this, but I hope it does. But I still think you just get that energy of, you're in front of a camera, you want to impress people. I want to do a good job for everybody. So, but that was also another thing is uh, they say also don't worry so much about how you're doing or how things are going. Focus more on what the message is that you're talking about. Like me to focus on helping somebody that might be where I was a few years ago right now, still uncertain about what they want to do, whether they can do it. Uh, like and like I said, I got to be perfect, you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be yourself. You don't have to I mean, it's good to model people, and it's good to have role models, it's good to have people that you like, but you're never going to be that person. The only person you can be is you. And the more authentic you are as yourself, and the more you just find your own message, find what drives you passionate, or what you're passionate about, what drives your passion, and then just figure it out. Everybody has something that they really, really like, or they're really gifted at, or they're even just a little gifted at. It doesn't matter what it is. Everybody has something. So, I mean, I wish I was more gifted at speaking, but I guess I'll get better at it as I go along. So, but that's me. I'm just being my authentic self, showing that we're all imperfect, trying to be better step by step, day by day. But I was the one that had to sit down and do the work, so no one was going to do it for me. I'm the one that had to do all the research, do the reading, do the meditations, do the learning, take the seminars, read the books, uh, go to Toastmasters, and some of the stuff that I learned in Toastmasters helped me focus more on relaxing the moment. Because when I first started, I used to move around so much, like I'd be fidgety and stuff. I do it a little bit now, but I'm nowhere near as like fidgety and moving around as much. I like to move a little bit of hand gestures and stuff, but before I couldn't even stand still. Like I was always, and I'd be all nervous inside. I'm still a little bit nervous, but the more I do it, the more I try to just stay still, stay relaxed, focus, and then just kind of let whatever it is that I'm talking about just kind of flow through me. So the more that you turn yourself into that relaxed state and get into that relaxed state, and that's what meditation does, it helps put you in that alpha state. But most people, the problem is that the first 8 to 10 minutes they will quit because the mind's racing, and you're in that beta state where everything's excuse me, everything's like sped up. So you're sped up. So your mind's like, let's get the hell out of here. Like, no, we don't want to do this. We don't want to settle down. We need to go do something else. You got 100 things you need to be doing right now. You got to go walk the dog, go to the grocery store, watch TV, any little thing. And your brain's like, no, we need to go do that. And so most people just kind of stop because I've had a few people say I just can't do it, and I'm like, you're right, you can't do it because you just said you couldn't do it. And I had one lady, and I was trying to tell her this, and she just kept saying, I just can't do it, I just can't do it. And then all of a sudden she was just gone, and I was like, all right, well I guess I don't get a chance to tell you that. It's more about the process and the breathing, and you're always going to have thoughts. Things are always going to be there. A lot of people get the impression that we just sit there and all of a sudden we just, and then the mind just shuts off. And it's like, that's not how it works. There's no on and off switch where your mind just, boop, gone. No, it doesn't do that. What you do is you focus in on the moment, you take some breaths, you breathe, you close your eyes and breathe, and I was taught to like use a mantra. You can do whatever you want, use a thought, just focus on what's going on around you. Mindfulness is be mindful of the thoughts that are coming into your head. But for me, I just kind of breathe into it and then just keep focusing on the breathing. And then all of a sudden you'll won't be focusing on the breathing. You'll start to have the thoughts again, like I gotta go walk the dog, or everyday stuff that you do, and then you'll be like, oh, oops, I'm not focusing on my breath anymore. So then you go back to it, you start breathing on the breath, and then you kind of just shift gently back between the thoughts and breathing, thoughts and breathing. There's a universal mantra that's so hum, and you as you breathe in, you're like you say to yourself, so on the breath in, and then hum on the breath out. That's kind of like the universal mantra. And the same thing, you just keep repeating it silently to yourself, and then you'll realize you're not repeating it anymore, and then you'll start having thoughts, and then you just kind of go back to it, and then you go back and forth gently, with no judgment. Everybody's going to have thoughts. That's what's going on. But the more you focus on the breathing and the more you do the mantra, then eventually you'll start to drift off, and then your mind will shut off by itself. You're not the one doing it. It's the process, it's the breathing, it's the focus on the mantra, or the paying attention to your thoughts, or being aware of what's going on around you, all the noises, but at the same time, just breathing and not being too hard on yourself when you don't get to that point. So, and it was funny because this is a good story too. The first time when I was in college, we went to a Buddhist temple and we went and meditated with some monks. And I was told, don't point your feet at them because it's disrespectful. So I was like, okay, I will make sure I don't do that. And so we get down, we're sitting in meditation, and all of a sudden, this was like kind of the first time I had meditated without music. So it was at the very beginning. So I'm sitting there in the back and I'm meditating, and then all of a sudden I get a cramp in my hamstring, and I'm like, oh no. And in my head, I'm like, man, I can't extend my feet out. What am I supposed to do? You're not supposed to move during meditation. You're not supposed. So I had all these thoughts because everything I'd seen in the movies, Mr. Miyagi, for any of you that have seen The Karate Kid, he's sitting there and he looks like he's not there. So I just figured, oh my God, you got to shut your mind off. You can't move. You can't do anything. I'm screwed. And then, so I'm sitting there and then I'm like, well, I can't stick my legs out because I'll be pointing my feet at them. So I was having all kinds of problems. So finally I like shifted to the left and then stuck my feet out and, stretched my legs out and then finally came back to. So and I was watching the monk too, and he did look like Mr. Miyagi. He was just, dead straight. You, just blank, in a different zone. And then like so we get done and he goes, "What was going on over here?" And he like points over at me in this my direction. I was like, "Yeah, I had a cramp. I didn't know what to do. All this stuff. I was nervous." And dude, he's like, "No, you're not. If you got to move during meditation, you have to readjust. You just do it." He's like, "There's no problem with it. Just, readjust. If you got to open your eyes and take a couple seconds off or 30 seconds, he's like, just do that." He's like, "So you're not going to be like me when you first start," and something along those lines. So I thought it was kind of funny, and I was like, "So what do we do to like what is you got any pointers?" And he was like, "Well, just focus on this point. I think it was like right here, like your breath coming in here. Like if you're having a hard time, focus like as you're breathing in, feel like you're having your breaths coming in, like energy's coming in through here." So I started doing that too, but so that that was my first experience with meditation. So I thought it was kind of funny. But in the beginning, and I guess it's the same thing. You just got to start somewhere. In the beginning, you don't know where you are unless you do it. You know. So the best thing is to just figure it out. Like right now, I'm just trying to figure this out as I go along, showing everybody that I'm not perfect. And just start wherever you are, give it a shot at whatever it is you want to do, and then adjust. And like Dean said, grow your wings on your way down as you get going, and the more you do it, the better you'll get.